What's up, y'all?
Hey Brent, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you taking some time to talk about the tour kicking off in Saginaw here in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. Sold out show. You guys and girls were first out of the gate.
Yeah, we're less than 2 weeks away from that tour kicking off. So let me be the first to say thank you for starting things right here in Saginaw. You guys have been here before, but man, when the dates got announced and we knew you guys were started here, everybody was so excited.
Yeah, it's just been a little bit too long for us in regards to Saginaw. So we wanted to kick it off somewhere we hadn't been to in a while. We got a lot of love and affection for the town, especially for the station. Thank you so much for supporting us for the last, 2 decades now, and many more to come. But yeah, man, we're ready to throw down with everybody. We're definitely bringing you all the bells and whistles.
We're excited for it, man. That show is August. Check that April 3rd at the Dow Events Center. And when the show was announced, a lot of people started sending us messages. Why Saginaw? Why start in Michigan? So I ask you, Brent, why kick off a tour in a town like Saginaw when on this tour you're playing much bigger cities? So why start here?
I think it was important to start there because A, it's been a minute. B, it's an excuse to go to Michigan because we love Michigan. And that's not lip service. Like, I mean, truly from Jump Street with this band, Michigan has been a huge part of who we are and the fan base there. And I don't know, man, we just felt like it would be a good town to start off in.
Well, we're excited for it. That show is April 3rd. We still have more chances to win tickets, and you might be able to find some of those resale tickets, but be careful when you're buying tickets online because there are, I'm sure, Brent, you've seen it, people getting
Don't
scammed
buy tickets online.
Yeah, right.
I mean, buy tickets online, but don't do the resale. It's such a racket.
Yeah, dude, it's every time we post something about a show coming to town, whether it's you guys or Jelly Roll playing the casino or whatever, all of a sudden, hey, I've got tickets, and we have to quickly don't buy those tickets.
Yeah, man, we're really being aggressive about this, as a lot of artists are being really aggressive about this when it comes to tickets. And, our fan base and true fans that are actually wanting to come and see the show. And, it's hard work. And, people have to take time out of their day. It's expensive to go to a concert if you think about it. I mean, even if you were just going solo, but if you're going as a couple, you have kids, things of that nature, you got to get a babysitter, you got to schedule it out ahead of time. You got to make sure that, you have everything you need that night. Concessions are through the roof. On top of that, too, if you want merch and things of that nature, we take that into consideration when we're trying to put these ticket prices together. I gotta tip my hat to Robert Smith from The Cure for getting those rebates back to his fans, because when he saw what was going on with a certain conglomerate, he said, that's not going to work. You can't treat my fans like that. And, all of us in the community, as far as the live touring industry is concerned, believe me, we're all talking to each other as artists, and, from our booking agents to our management, depending on what country we're in, what city we're in, when we're putting these shows on sale. I don't want people to think that we're not really working behind the scenes to make sure that we're giving the patrons that actually want to come and see the performance of your favorite artist and what have you, trying to make the tickets accessible and affordable.
Yeah, no, it's important that changes, because we see this a lot with a lot of these bands that are reuniting, or really, I mean, whoever goes on tour, whoever's playing a show, ticket prices are crazy, and then all the tickets are gone before they go on sale. They're on the resale market, so it's good to hear that some of those changes are happening now. Before we talk more about the Saginaw show, but last time we talked was prior to Planet Zero coming out. It may have been early pandemic. I think we did an Instagram live when people were doing that stuff. May have been the last time that you and I
did a lot of them.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure with all the time that you had, I'm sure you did a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of bands put out their pandemic records, and I guess Planet Zero would be your pandemic record. But you guys didn't do the whole Dropboxing files to each other. You guys didn't do the whole emailing. You weren't emailing songs to Zach back and forth. You guys actually did something different. You guys still were able to come together to put this album together, which is not what everybody had a chance to do.
Yeah, we built a studio from the ground up. Listen, I mean, the thing about us, and I want to be respectful, but I also know that a lot of people, we've moved forward, because that was always the mission in the first place. Look, COVID-19, wasn't and isn't the first virus in human history, it's not going to be the last. So I think we're past everything. I think that a lot of information is coming out now that certain people were saying one thing, and then the data comes in that, well, actually, it is this. And look, it can be very polarizing still 3 years later. But for us, when it happened in 2020, one of the very first things that we did was we developed a partnership with Direct Relief. We raised $500,000 with them during the height of COVID with the song Atlas Falls. I know you guys and girls supported that song. Thank you so much, because it went to a great cause, playing that song and really helping Direct Relief do what they needed to do at the height of the pandemic. Is Planet Zero a pandemic record? I don't necessarily look at it like that. It's our 7th album. It just happened to be written during a pandemic. And, yeah, there is a lot of intensity on the record. It's a ferocious record. It's also a very triumphant record. But for us, I was in California right around about June of 2020 was when I left California, arrived where I am now, actually in South Carolina, with our producer and our bass player, Eric Bass. And, we kind of looked at each other, and I was calling studios in Nashville, New York, Atlanta, and Los Angeles, trying to get a read on whether or not they were going to be allowing artists to come in. Even, like we can be, we were like, we'll come in a hazmat suit if we have to. But they were just like, Brent, there's just no way. Like, we can't let anybody come in. It's just, we're not in that position. And we were looking at the clock, man. Not that we were speeding through the writing process. We hadn't even written one thing yet. I was just thinking about, okay, roughly, between from where we were, at least 3 to 4 months in, it would be time to start actually laying down fundamental tracks. And the question became, I don't know when we're going to be able to go into a studio. So me and Eric looked at each other alongside, getting Barry and Zach together on everything and making a decision to build a studio from the ground up. So with the help of a lot of remarkable people in South Carolina, Eric and his team, which is our team, we made a plan, put it into motion, and it took about, it roughly took close to, I want to say, by the time we were inside the studio, it was probably close to 18 weeks from building it from the ground up. But as it was being built too, we were working inside the house on writing songs and things of that nature. But yeah, man, you have to take it upon yourself to be, you gotta be clever. And for us, it was like, let's just build the studio. We know how to do it, so let's just do it.
And you got to employ a bunch of people who at the time were probably wondering where their next paycheck was going to come from. So you get to get all these people to help build the studio and keep them working.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were also one of the bands and one of the artists, we really dug into the financial aspects of our crew and how to keep everybody afloat during that. My hat's off to all the musicians and the artists out there that were able to keep their road crew on retainer and things of that nature. We tried to do the best we could with that, because at the end of the day, even now, with the touring industry being back in full force, people forget how important these men and women are that build these shows every night. We definitely know how important these men and women are. They're the whole lifeblood of what we do in regards to live music. So it really has a lot to do with them. Without the crew, the show doesn't happen.
Yeah, and you've got a massive crew that goes out with you and a massive crew locally that helps build the stage here and take it down and all that stuff. You mentioned the ferociousness of this album, and lyrically, Planet Zero tackles some stuff that maybe Shinedown has sort of steered away from in the past. As you're writing Planet Zero, you're in the process of building the studio. What makes you guys decide, you know what, let's start talking about the cancel culture stuff. Let's start talking about things that maybe we wouldn't have talked about in the past.
I've been asked this question multiple times. And, as we move forward into this album and the depth of this record, obviously Planet Zero was the very first single. And then, from there, we were kind of looking at the trajectory of everything. Then we released Daylight, which is kind of the complete other side of the record from Planet Zero. And, where we are now with Dead Don't Die. for us, the record was simply about, at least a big portion of it was about tell the truth, no matter what, like, because you can't outrun karma. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's coming after you either way, for good or for bad. You're going to meet it in your lifetime. And for us, it was just the level of how things were polarized at that time, the way that society was being kind of pitted against each other. And everybody knows what was going on during that, what the media was doing, what, people were doing in regards to clickbait and all these types of things, which still continues to this day. It's important to understand too, that social media can be a very, very powerful tool, and it can be used for good, but it can also be devastating. I mean, for me, when we were writing the record, it had a lot to do with, I have a 15-year-old son, and it's interesting to see how my son's generation view one another and just how open they are with each other. But they are at all times at an influx of just constant, it's so fast what they're trying to retain, and their attention span and everything. So for me, one of the things that me and my son talked about was the fact that I told him, I said, hey man, remember something. I know that the internet would like to tell you that the internet is undefeated. It's not true. Mother Nature is undefeated. And on top of that too, remember that you're in control of the device. The device doesn't need to be in control of you. And, those were some of the subject matters that we spoke on. But really, in all essence, the record is about, we're all human. We're all a work in progress. And the thing is too, I still believe in human beings. I still believe that we are inherently good, and that we inherently want to lift each other up and take care of one another. And that's always been what I've kept in presence of mind, because society, if you look out, especially now, I think that people are showing that they have more empathy, that they have more respect for each other, that they understand that everybody's going through a lot in this world that we live in. It's a fast world right now. But what you cannot lose is authenticity, and you have to be honest, and you have to tell the truth.
You mentioned Dead Don't Die. That's the current single at radio. And oddly enough, that song is written about you. And it's an interesting story because Zach wrote it about you and he brought it to you. I'm curious, when Zach brings this song to you, he says, hey, I wrote this thing. What is your initial reaction when you discover that he wrote the song that is the band's current single, about to be the 20th number one, that it's about you?
It's emotional, and it's humbling, and in some ways a little shocking. And the reason I say shocking is because we had everything written for the record, we thought. I remember we were getting ready to begin the schedule for mastering the record, because Eric, alongside Doug McKean, who passed away, unfortunately, last year, our longtime engineer, who was a huge part of the sound of Shinedown. But, we were at a place where, Eric produces, engineers, and mixed the last two albums, Attention, and Planet Zero. And we started the mixing phase of everything. And as we were doing it, I noticed that we didn't have one particular kind of style song, something that I would call a stomp. Planet Zero does it a little bit, but it's in a different, it's kind of presented in a different way. So Zach had this song, and he hadn't told anybody about it. He had done this demo, and he kind of overheard me talking about, I think we're missing something. I think we don't have it all just yet. And he kind of took me to the side and said, well, I have something. I didn't know what you guys would think about it. And I said, well, play it for me. And he played it for me. And what was funny was I looked at him and I was like, you were going to just wait till now and it was in a demo form, but even in a demo form, and he's singing the demo. And, and I'm listening to him sing and the lyrical content and just honestly, like, it just was super, super rad. And I said, dude, you waited all this time? He's like, well, I just wanted to make sure that it was something that I think could really be used. And then we showed it to Eric, and Eric kind of had the same mentality as me. He was like, "You're gonna wait till now?" But the thing is, we kind of put everything on hold and went directly into the studio, got Barry in there, got everybody inside, and started developing the song. There were a couple other things that I needed to kind of add to the song, and we put some other elements inside of it, obviously because it was a demo. But I think it came out amazing. And yeah, it was just that's my guy, man. I mean, they're all my guys. But you know, my world, I'm the luckiest man in the world because I'm able to make music with my family and my best friends. But obviously it was something that I was taken aback by the subject matter, and that he actually said this was inspired by you. So it's very humbling.
And now it's set to be here relatively soon, the band's 20th #1 song at rock radio. That is a #1
Knock
song.
on wood.
Yeah, right. Damn Linkin Park. That's a song every year that Shinedown has, since they've released their debut album 20 years ago, a #1 song every year, which is, I mean, that's remarkable, man.
It's insane. It really is. You know, and to see where the chart is right now and just the caliber of people that are in that chart, I've been a fan of Hardy for a long time. You know, obviously last year we were able to bring out our really good friend Jelly Roll. This merging of like country and rock, you know, is something that we've seen building up for, you know, a decade plus. It's so rad to see that these genres are coming together in a lot of ways. And, you know, it should be diverse. It should be, you know, very open and broad. Obviously, it's a very emotional thing with Linkin Park. And, you know, one of the reasons why that song has been #1 for so long is, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, we all miss Chester, and, you know, the music that he gave us and the vocal style that he gave us is just, I mean, to me and to a lot of people, that guy was such a massive influence. And just, you know, everybody else in that chart, you know, those are our friends. A lot of those guys are our brothers. A lot of, you know, our sisters are in there too, you know. But for us, you know, we've released 31 singles as a band, and we're continuing to do that. We do our best to never write the same record over and over again, and we try our best to never write the same song twice. And our fan base has allowed us to grow, whether they've been there from day one or they're just kind of finding out who we are. The one thing about our audience, and we've said this before, and it's very, very true, and a lot of it has to do with terrestrial radio and what you guys and girls have done for us from day one. You've always supported us, but we've always tried to give you our absolute best. And, you know, our audience, we have one boss in this band. It just happens to be everybody in the audience. But for the life of me, I still wake up every day and you are talking to a very humble and very lucky man. And I don't take it for granted. And we try to never phone it in when it comes to the music or the production or every element of what Shinedown does. I mean, this was a band that was built by the people.
Yeah, as someone who has been there, I mean, I remember starting my internship in 2002, 2003 at the radio station when Fly from the Inside came out. I remember 45 being a single, and I think the PD at the time may have dropped it, and then all of a sudden 45 is the biggest song in the country, and we're re-adding it, and here we are 20 years later talking about Shinedown bringing the Revolutions live tour to Saginaw in like a couple of weeks, where you guys are going to kick things off here at our big arena in Saginaw. And we talked about all these hits, and you're bringing out the band that's like right on your heels in terms of #1 hits, 3 Days Grace, to play the show with you, which is, I mean, that bill alone is awesome.
Yeah, we tried to, you know, here's the thing about that. You know, we're also bringing out a young band who we really dig, From Ashes to New. They're going to open the show, but it's almost, I think it's a decade. It's 10 years since us and 3 Days Grace actually toured together on the Amaryllis album, which was our 4th album. We brought them out, and that's when Matt entered the band. And dude, we have such a love and respect for 3 Days Grace. We have from Jump Street. And it made sense. We had been talking about doing something like this before for quite some time. It just finally made sense to do it. And, we talked about it and what we wanted to do and how we wanted to achieve it. But yeah, man, I mean, you are initially coming to a show with a combination of 41 number one rock and roll songs. It's kind of nuts in a lot of ways. But we were like, hey, man, it's more bang for the buck.
Yeah, right. No doubt. Yeah, people are in for a treat. That's for sure. When the tour kicks off in Saginaw coming up on April 3rd, when you have that many hits, how do you decide how to put together a set list when you have so many songs to choose from? You have 7 albums of stuff to choose from. You want to play the new stuff, but you also you have fans there that want to hear their favorite songs. You can't please everybody. How do you guys decide what are we going to do on this show?
Well, one thing that we try to do is we always, the cool thing is that because of the internet, there's a thing called Setlist FM, and you can go back and look and see when you were in that area or that particular tour, like what did we play, what did we not play. That helps out.
I'm so happy to find out that you guys do that too, because I will do that at shows, like wondering like what song is
1,000%. Yeah. It's awesome. Hey, and look, Setlist FM, they've done a lot for us over the last couple of years too. They're awesome. But no, I mean, that actually does help us out. Zach is a lot more integral in regards to the set list, but it's a combination of me and him. I will say that this particular tour is much more complicated when it comes to the song choices, because you look at it and you go, okay, what we usually will say is, what are the 10 that we absolutely have got to play? And then once we kind of get that figured out, then you start to look, what have you not played in that market? What have you, because we have album cuts too, and some deeper cuts as well, that even though they weren't singles, they're very, very loved by the audience. So you're not going to be able to play it all. B, unless you were doing like 2-night stints and things of that nature.
Taylor Swift did like 44 songs the other night. You could do that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know if people want to watch us for 3.5 hours. Kudos to Taylor Swift, because I'm a massive fan, and that stage show is out of control, dude. When she dives into the stage, I was like, good on you. That is rad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. I think that you have to be realistic about what you're trying to present and the time frame and what's going to be the most powerful set list you can put together. Are you going to make every single person in the room happy? That's the goal. Sometimes for us, man, we have to just look at it and go, let's start off with these 20 songs, because this is a 20-song set. And then there's kind of a middle section where Zach and Eric kind of take over, and Barry for a minute. They give me a little bit of a breather. And they always throw a couple of curveballs at the audience, which is super fun. We're working up kind of a medley right now of something that we've never done before. So you just try to be innovative, man, and make it intriguing, make it interesting. But we know the songs that they want to hear.
Yeah. Let's talk about the rest of 2023. This is the 20th anniversary of the debut album. It's also the 15th anniversary of Sound of Madness. I know you're doing the vinyl pressing with Atlantic Records. Is there anything else planned around these big anniversaries for Shinedown?
Yeah, there's a big tour getting ready to be announced later this year.
Okay. All right. Well, not just, so there's another tour, not the one that we're kicking off.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Totally.
Okay. I assumed you guys
would but here's the thing. Nobody cares about that right now. We only care about this tour. We only care about the Revolutions Live tour right now. But also, too, we actually have quite a few things that we're doing this year that'll be announced probably. I'd say you'll start hearing some things in May about what's actually going on. Because the interesting thing also, too, is a lot of artists, because the influx of touring, not just in North America, but just globally right now, is so competitive, and everyone is out there. And obviously with festivals getting announced right now in North America and other festivals in Europe and the UK. You know, people are finally back touring Australia, which is great. South America, you know, there's a lot of places for us to internationally that we haven't been to yet that we're working on right now. Like for us, South Africa is a big deal for us. India is a big deal for us. We have been back to Australia in about 15 years.
Wow.
Things of that nature. So we're working on these things right now. There's always something going on.
Well, of course, you can check out shinedown.com, stay up to date with all of that stuff. Last question, because I've never met anyone who's received the key to the city. How cool is it to be given, because you see it on like TV and stuff, nobody ever actually gets the key to the city. You were given the key to the city by, I know him as Kane, Mayor Glenn Jacobs of Knoxville. I've spent time in Knoxville. My sister lives in Loudon. I've been through there.
Oh, nice.
Does the key to the city like allow you access to everything, or is it just sort of a in name only sort of thing?
I don't know. I haven't tested it out. I haven't. So my mom and my dad still live in Knoxville. They live in Seymour, actually, which is just right up the road.
Yep.
My granny, who's 91 years old, who is a huge part of my life, she still lives there in Knoxville. I go back quite a bit, but when they did that, man, that was the first time that, you know, of 20 years of being in a band that I was able to go to Knoxville and play the Thompson Bowling Arena. It was our very first time playing that arena. We played in Knoxville at the Civic Coliseum, the Tennessee Theater, a bunch of clubs back in the day and what have you. I had absolutely no idea that that was going to happen. And when it did happen, the crazy thing about it was they went a step further with me, and that key is actually the key to the county. And it says that, like, and what was even more nuts, and again, extremely humbling, my high school that I went to, the manufacturing there at the high school, the kids, they actually made the key. That's awesome. At the high school, which was like that in and of itself, which is a high school, South Dole, there in Knoxville. So again, man, it's a pinch myself type of moment. You know, I'll tell you straight up, I have a history in that city, and you know, I was not an easy kid to raise. I know I wasn't. My parents let me know, but overwhelming sense of pride.
That's it was awesome to see the video and see you overcome with emotion and see everything that you did around that. That was super cool, man. And like I said, I don't know that I've ever met somebody who's received the key to a city nor a key to a county. So that's, I will be testing that in every lock that I could find around Knoxville the next time I'm there. Well, I'm excited, dude, to see you again here in Saginaw. The show is coming up in less than 2 weeks, April 3rd at the Dow Event Center. Great tickets. Well, not great tickets. There are still some tickets available. There's a couple of tickets available. Still a few. Like Brent said, don't go buy them on any sketchy website that you find. Like, make sure they're verified resale. Don't come to me or email the band like the day before the show and say my tickets aren't real. And Brent, man, we appreciate everything, dude. You've always been very good to us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
It's an absolute honor to be kicking this off in Saginaw, and again to you and the station and everybody in the city. It does not go unappreciated or unnoticed. We are very appreciative, and just thank you guys and girls so much for the love and the support. We appreciate you. We can't wait to start the show off in Saginaw and the tour. Buckle up. It's going to be awesome.